We are now joined alongside by the strength and conditioning coach of the 8th Division World Champion Manny Pacquiao, Justin Fortune. Justin, thank you so much for taking time out, being here at Wildcard Boxing Gym. We are days away until Manny Pacquiao steps inside the ring against Errol Spence Jr. in only a few weeks' time. What is the feeling amongst camp in terms of how Manny's feeling as he heads into his pay-per-view showdown?
He's in good spirits. We're at 90%. 95%. He'll peak on time on the day, and it's a Pacquiao fight. They're always exciting, so and this will be nothing different to everyone else. This fight, he's fighting for his legacy, and he wins this fight, he picks up another 3 titles, and goes down as the greatest fighter in history.
25-month layoff, and then the opponent is Errol Spence. When Manny told you, hey, my next opponent's Errol Spence, were you surprised or did it not surprise you?
No, it doesn't surprise me because Pacquiao chooses the best. He hasn't ducked anyone. Look at his record. So no, it doesn't surprise me at all. As far as that, Errol's not the same guy after the accident.
You don't think he's the same guy?
No, do you?
I thought he looked very good against Danny Garcia.
I was disappointed in Garcia. I never pulled the trigger. Danny's a much, much better fighter than that. And even if it was 2 great fights, he came away with a fucking black eye in 12 rounds. This guy sends you to hospital. You don't go to post-fight press conferences. You're in hospital getting checked up. It's the difference, you know what I mean? So I don't see Errol as being that much of a puncher as everyone says.
So you don't seem to be too impressed with Spence, is what I'm.
No, I don't think he's the same guy after the accident. You know what I mean? Simple as that. And you don't walk away from that fucking accident with lifelong injuries. So.
And for Manny, as he gets up in age, you being a strength and conditioning coach, he's 42 years of age. He will be 43 later on in December of this year. What are some of the challenges that you have in terms of not pushing him too hard, when to push, when not to push, things along those lines?
We've been with Manny for 20 years. Since 2002, so we know him. I know Manny very well. I know my fighters. And you look at him, you tell by their body language whether we rest or we don't rest. This is obviously with his age, it's more fight specific. It's not pushing him too hard. And someone like Pacquiao, and great fighters, Virgil Hill, Fennec, all those guys, you have to pull them back. And that's it. It's just fighting, or just being fight specific in your training.
Has the layoff helped Manny in terms of allowing his body to heal up over these past 25 months?
I don't know, man. I'm not Manny.
Have you seen? But I'm saying, have you seen that? Like, what have you seen?
When he came back in, when we were first sparring, he's shaking off some rust. But as of last week, the sparring picked up good. Timing came into play. Everything's sort of starting to come together again, which was to be expected for any fighter with that long a layoff. And this pandemic's had a lot of fighters lay off for a long time, so we're all in the same boat, really.
Freddie told us that yesterday he had a sensational sparring day and probably his best day in camp that he has had since he got here to Los Angeles 10 days ago. Do you feel the same way?
It was a good sparring session, yeah, and he's back up on his toes and punching and moving. So when he does that, you can't be hit. You can't hit him. No offense to him, but better guys have tried and haven't been able to do it. So when he gets up on his toes and he starts moving and punching, he's tough. You've seen him. He's impossible to bloody hit. It was a good sparring day. He will get better, though. That was the start of it. That's where we start off now. Now you can see where he's going to peak, and we'll peak on the night of the fight.
Have you been doing anything different, or have you been doing pretty much the same thing with Manny and preparing him with his strength conditioning and his running and things along those lines?
No, just more explosion, more plyometrics, a lot of leg plies, just to get him up onto his toes again and start to move like that. That's all it is, just with that speed and explosion.
You've been around combat sports for several decades.
way too fucking long, mate.
So, have you ever seen, is it sort of like an anomaly when you see Manny do these things? Like, how is this guy even human?
In this sport, he's been #1 or world champ for 20 years. So, yeah, it's phenomenal. He's just a freak. In our sport, he's our Jordan, and he's our sport's freak of nature. Simple as that.
Do you ever think, and I asked Freddie Roach this, do you ever believe that we will see an 8-division world champion?
Never. That's why he goes, you will never see someone like Pacquiao again. Not in my lifetime, certainly not. No, I don't believe you'll ever see it again. He was a one-off.
Not only that, but he means obviously a lot to the Philippines, not just from a prize fighting standpoint, from a politician standpoint. I asked Buboy, I asked Freddie, do you feel that Manny Pacquiao will run for presidency of the Philippines?
That's what he said he was going to do. So usually when he says it, he does it. It's a whole different ballgame. That's something that, that's a whole different job. Jesus Christ, you think boxing's bad? Politics is worse.
And Justin, in a perfect world, how does the fight play out on August 21st against Errol Spence Jr. in Las Vegas on Fox Sports PBC pay-per-view? In a perfect world, in Justin Fortune's perfect world, how does the fight with Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence play out?
Well, in a perfect world, we stop Errol, and that's the end of it. But boxing ain't perfect, and anything can happen. So no predictions. I predict we're going to win, but it all depends on the night and who shows up. That's all. I know Pacquiao will show up. We'll see what happens with Errol.
Justin, thank you so much. All the best of luck. Look forward to seeing you soon.